Okay, 721. Let's start with the first problem. It would be nice if I put my glasses on, but I don't know where they are. All right, so make this a little bigger so I can see. All right, not that big. All right, so here we go. And on the first question, I'm going to, you know that we can, I want to circle this part. That can become 1 plus 1 and 1 and 2/3, right? So I took care of that. So there was not much to do there. Now I'm going to take care of this. I'll copy that. I'm going to read this. And I'm going to take care and I'll circle it of this. All right, so just for 1 and 2/3, FYI, 1 and 2/3 is the same thing as 5/3, right? So it's going to be 1. And if I take that to the side, it says 1 divided by 1 and 2/3, which is the same thing as 1 divided by 5/3, which is the same thing as 1 over 1 times 3/5, right? So, and that just gives you 3/5. So that whole thing is 3/5. Now, I can simplify this much better. 1 plus 3/5 is just simply, now write the new fraction, 1 and 3/5. Why do I have a feeling we did this? Oh, you did, but you didn't finish, I think. So 1 3/5, and then if you change that, it becomes 1 divided by 8/5, and that becomes 1 divided by 5/8. Sorry, not 5/8, 1 multiplied. 1 multiplied by 5/8, and that's going to give us just final answer 5/8. So that whole thing is 5/8. Okay. A lot of ways of doing the next problem. It's just a matter of choice here. So you can change that. So I'll do it if I didn't have a calculator. Well, I mean, let's see, 12 times 6 is 72. You can have 75 over 12 times 720. You're welcome to do that and multiply. Right, put it over 1, multiply 7. Well, actually, we can crisscross here. Sorry, simplify. 12 goes to 72. I'll find out how much in a second. So divided by 12, 12 divided by 12 is 1, and 720 divided by 12 is 60. So that's 60, right? And then 75 times 60 is going to give you 4,500. Remember, because you have to make an adjustment, right? Percent, move the decimal 1, 2, 2 over. So the final answer is 45. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is a little bit more work, is knowing what 1% is. Well, 10% is 72. 1% is 7.2. Agree? So there is 6%, so I'm going to do 7. There's, right, 7 times 7.2. So I know what 6% is. So it's going to be 6 times 7.2. So that's going to be 43.2. And then I need to find out what 5/12 is. Well, I know 1% is 7.2, right? 7.2 is 1%. What's 5/12 of this? Well, let's divide. You can divide that by 5. Sorry, divide that by 12, multiply by 5, right? So 7.2, you would represent this like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you're interested in 5 of these, which is 5/12 of 7.2. So what's 5/12 of 7.2? Divide 7.2 by 12. You know that each of these boxes is 0.6. 0.61, 0.6. And if you times that by 5, you get 3. So 5/12 is actually the same thing as 3. So something's wrong. Because I got 46 over here. Hang on. I'm getting 46.2. Just give me a second. 7.2 times 5 divided by 12 equals 3. So that's okay. 6 times 7.2, that's okay too. Did I make a mistake on that sign? 6 times 12 is 72. 72 plus 5, this should be 77. I'm sorry, here's my mistake right here. 77 times 60 is 46.20. Sorry. It's 4,620. Move the decimal 2 over. The final answer is 46.20. Sorry. 4 expressed as a decimal. Okay, so I mean, if you don't have a calculator, I would probably do this. I don't know if it's going to help me, but that's what I'm looking at. Times 25 over 1,000 times 16 over 10. Does that help me at all? Well, well, let's simplify whatever we can. So let's do this one divided by 5 is 2, divided by 5 is 25, divided by 2 is 1, divided by 2 is 8, divided by 5 is 2, divided by 5 is 5. Just gotta be careful. Divided by 2 is 1, divided by 2 is 4. Divided by 25, 25 divided by 25 is 1, and 1,000 divided by 25 is going to give me 40, so this is going to be 40. 40 divided by 4 is 1, 40 divided by 4 is 10. I can divide this by by 2, and I'm going to get 5. I'm going to divide this by 2, I'm going to get 24. Not that bad. By 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1. 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. I can divide this by 2 again, now by 4. It's going to give me a 6. Divided by 4, it's going to give me a 50. Divided by 2 again gives me a 3. Divided by 2 again gives me 25. If I look at the top, I have 1, 3, 1, 1. It's going to be a 3. At the bottom, it's going to be 25 times 5, 1 over 25. And that's much easier to change this to to a decimal by now dividing. So 3 divided by 125 is 0.024. And that's what I would get. Okay, so a lot of work, but again, it's easier if you do it that way. Let me pause this for a second. Forget it. 4. A 4-man relay race ran a race in 3.5 hours. What's the average? So this is just a division, right? So you can choose to divide it like this, or you can choose it to divide it like this. Whichever one you're more comfortable with. I definitely think this is better. So give you an answer in minutes. So it's going to be 0.8 of an hour. And what's 0.8 of an hour? Hang on a second. 0.8 of an hour. Let me see. Hang on a second. 16 divided by 4 times 1 over 4. 4/5. 4/5 much. So what's 4/5 of an hour? 4/5 of an hour is, you divide 60, right? And you divide it by 5. You get 12 times, and then you multiply 12 times 4 because there's 4 parts of it. It's 48 minutes. So this would be equal to 48 minutes. But this one you probably understand it better as a division problem. I'm sorry, as fractions. The area, so it's a little bit more complicated here. The area, so area equals, I'm going to write this down. Area equals base times height, or length times width. I'll write that the area is 240 and 3/4. I don't know the length, but I know the width, it's 40.5. So, as you can tell, this becomes to find the length, I divide. So the length is going to be 240 and 3/4 divided by 40.5, right? So length is going to be 240 and 3/4. I'm going to change this to a improper fraction. So 240 times 4, 960 or 963 over 4 times, and if you change that, that's 81 over 2, right? So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 2 over 81. Cancel, that becomes a 2. Is that divisible by 9? Yes, it is. 963 is divisible by, is it divisible by 81? No, but 963 is divisible by 9. So that becomes, so if I divide 81 by 9, I get 9. If I divide this by 9, I get 107. And then I get 107 over 18. And what's 18? 107 divided by 18 is going to give me 5. So again, the length, if I want to write it as a mixed number, the 5, which is 40, that gives me a 90. So I have 17 left over. So it's 517 over 18 inches or feet. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to skip this one because I'm pretty sure we did it. So, but I'm going to do 8. Okay, 8 seems very easy too. So he has a bank account and he's at negative. And he's going to deposit, which means add, right? A positive number. And then he's going to add another check. So how much does he have now? Okay, that's really. So we can. That's going to give us 411 if I did these two parts first, right? And then plus 100, it's going to give me 511.82. 9, find 30% of 60, really? Uh-oh. Find 30% of 60? What the? Find 30% of 60, so again, you can do it as 3/10 times 60 or just 0.3 times 60 times 6, 0.15 of 50, right? So we're going to add those two and then multiply it by 1/3. That's what he's saying. Right, so 30% is 18 and 10% is 5, so this is 7.5, right? 7.5. And we're going to add these two, and that's going to give us 25.5, which you're going to multiply by 1/3. I don't know which way is better, so I'm going to change this to a fraction, right? So it's 25.5 times 1/3. That's 51 over 2 times 1/3. Divided by 3 is 117, so we get 17 over 2, or as a mixed number, 8.5. 10, trying to finish this before lunch. Here's a taxi ride. So taxis, they charge you a fee just by hopping on the car. They may not have driven anywhere. So the car ride, it's already costing you, just by sitting there, it's already cost you $4.20. That guarantees that they actually earned something. You know, that's what that fee is. And that fee, it varies from city to city. I forget what New York is, but this one seems a little bit high. So you get on the cab, it's $4.20 just for sitting there. You tell the gentleman, the driver, where to go, and then he's going to start charging you plus 80 cents per mile, right? So in that case, so assume that you took a ride, and that cost you $6.50. Now you can do this is a two-step equation. I don't know how much of you remember it. But I'm going to do it the other way. So I know that a taxi ride cost me $6.50. I'm going to subtract the $4.20 that I paid him initially, even because, you know, we didn't drive anywhere, right? But it's a fee that everybody pays just for hopping in the car. So that means that I'm left with $2.30. And this was the amount that was charged to me, right, out of the $6.50 for driving around. So $2.30, and if I divide $2.30 divided by 0.8, I can find out how much, how far I drove in that taxi. So let's move this one over, so it becomes 8, and this inside becomes 23. 8 and 23 goes 2 times, which is 16. 7 left over. I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to continue to turn this to a decimal. So the taxi drove me for 2 miles, 2 and 7/8 of a mile. And that's what this $2.30 represents. That's how, right? Okay. So hopefully I didn't confuse your multiple question. 11, 3 players. So they each start with 150,000, and they're supposed to invest. And whoever makes more money wins. So here's the red team. Here is the green team. And the blue team, there's nothing to calculate, 280,000. The winning team, so the red team made 2/3 more money. So they made the 150,000 plus 2/3 of that. So what's 2/3? That's plus 2/3 of their initial investment, right? They actually made. So 2/3 of 150,000 is 100,000 plus what they started with. So these guys made 250,000. The green team made 60%. So again, 150,000 that they started with. Plus, on top of that, they make 60% of that. So 60% is 0.6 times 150,000. Oops. And so it's 150,000. And what's 0.6 times 150,000? I have no idea. 90,000. So they made 90,000 on top. And that gives them a total of 240,000. Winner, still the blue team. Liquids. So you have a jug of water. Okay, and it's currently this much filled. 1/3. Now, if you freeze it, that water is going to expand, meaning you're going to have a bigger volume. You have more, more of that jug, right? It's going to expand a little bit. It's going to be harder, and it's going to expand a little bit. So about by 9%. So you know you're going to have the 1/3 plus 1/3 or 9% of 1/3, right? So you're going to have the original, what you have, 1/3. The water is going to freeze, and it's just going to get a little bigger, and that little bigger is what we're trying to figure out to get our grand total. So 1/3, what's 9%? I don't know. Let's write it as a fraction because this is a fraction, so it's 9/100 times 1/3. I'll put this in parentheses. So 1/3 plus, let's see what that is. So we can simplify, and it's 3/100. So that expansion part was 3/100ths of a gallon. Very, not that much, right? So how much water, what's the volume now? How much is it occupying from the jug? Well, it's occupying more than 1/3, and to calculate that, we have to find a common denominator, which is 300. And this is going to be times 100, so 100 on top. Times 3 is going to be 9. So it's going to be 109 over 300 of a gallon. Oops. Of a gallon. So imagine if you have that jug and you were to break that into 300 parts, right? This is 100 over 100 over 300. This is 200 over 300. And obviously the top is 300 over 300. So you were here, but when it froze, it expanded a little bit. So you're now here, and I'll write it on the other side, 109 over 300. So you notice your volume did increase, but very little. Last question, shares of a stock. Okay, so you have a stock, you have a company here, and it's owned by Peter, Paul, and Mary. Peter owns this much shares, Paul owns this many shares, and Mary owns this many shares. Well, obviously Mary is the big, shareholder. She's the boss here. So whoever owns more share owns more of the, the company. So that's a total of 10,760 shares. So Peter owes that much out of this, and then so does Paul, and so does Mary. Right? So she is. Now, they worked for a whole year, and their company made $1,500,000. So that's profit. They gotta split it up. So you want to know how much Mary's going to get. Well, Mary's going to get this percentage. So if you were to divide that number, 4,200 divided by 10,760, and show this as a decimal, this is 0.39, which equals to 39%. So Mary is a 39% owner of this company, which means she's going to get 39% of the 1.5 million. Okay, that's a 0, by the way. Paul, and just to show you, even though they didn't ask, is 10 divided, if I divide those two numbers, he is rounded a 0.233. So it means he's 23.3% owner of the company. He's not a big chunk. And then the last guy, 4050 divided by 10760. He is a rounded 0.376 or 37.6% owner. So the biggest owner of this company is Mary at 39%. So I'm going to take that $1.5 million and multiply it by 0.39, and that's going to tell me how much money Mary's going to walk away with. $585,000. That's her share of the profits. Okay, and that's that.